on Prime Crime.
Hello, Cassie. I'm getting you on tape, okay?
Two teenage boys set out to make a movie.
I've always wanted to make a mark on the world and stuff. And this is a good way to do it.
But the line between fantasy and reality starts to blur.
They apparently both liked horror movies and developed a movie script that involved multiple homicides.
In a plot twist no one saw coming.
Some kids goof off and they film home videos, but when do we know that it's going too far?
There's a girl dead on my floor. She's missing a finger.
Hey there, everybody, I'm Jesse Weber, and welcome to Prime Crime, where we break down the most compelling and memorable true crime cases from across the country. A popular high school student is found brutally stabbed to death in a quiet Idaho town. At first, there's seemingly no explanation, no motive, until police realize they're investigating a real-life horror movie.
Lunacy 911.
I need an ambulance at home.
Okay, what's going on?
There's a girl dead on my floor. She's missing a finger. She's on the floor bleeding, not moving.
Okay, I need you to get down and tell me if she's breathing.
She's not bleeding. No, she isn't. She's cold. She's dead. She's dead.
Sunday, September 24th, 2006, Bannock County, Idaho. 16-year-old Cassie Jo Stoddart's aunt calls 911. The family has just returned home from a weekend away to a horrible scene.
On September 22nd, 2006, not long after school started, she was asked by her aunt and uncle, Frank and Allison Contreras, to house sit for them and their kids while they went away.
So Cassie was there to watch over the 2 dogs and 4 cats. Her aunt and uncle returned home, and her aunt found her lifeless body and all the blood and a finger missing and called 911.
Idaho State Police arrive at the scene.
Cassie was stabbed around 30 times. 12 of the stab wounds were fatal.
Cassie Jo Stoddart was a junior at Pocatello High School in Bannock County, Idaho. She was, by all accounts, a fairly well-liked student. She was a good student. She had a lot of friends. She was well-regarded.
And so then the search was on. Who would do such a thing?
Was this an enemy that Cassie had that took advantage of her being alone? Maybe somebody who knew that the Contrerases were going to be away that weekend and didn't expect Cassie to be house sitting. Was this a home invasion that went wrong?
It could be a robbery, but there was no forced entry and nothing was stolen.
They did not find any evidence as to who may have committed the crime. They took blood samples, checked for fingerprints.
Cassie's mother, Anna Stoddart, is devastated, but she manages to tell police the last time she saw and spoke to her daughter. She dropped off Cassie and her teenage boyfriend at Cassie's aunt and uncle's house after school 2 days ago.
So after school on Friday, Cassie went over to their house on Whispering Cliffs Road in Bannock County. She was dating another junior at the same high school at the time named Matt Beckham, and Beckham came over with her.
When Anna Stoddart called her daughter around 9:30 that evening to check in, all was fine. They agreed to talk the next day, but never did.
The police, always in a situation like this, will look to a romantic interest first. And it just so happens that Matt Beckham was the last person to see Cassie Jo Stoddart alive.
When police interrogated Matt Beckham, they were a little taken aback by his nonchalance. It didn't seem like he was too emotional over what had happened, but he passed a lie detector. The crucial thing, though, was that Matt Beckham, during his interrogation, mentioned that there were 2 other friends who were there that night, Adamcik and Draper.
That's Tori Adamcik and Brian Draper.
Cassie, her boyfriend, and Draper and Adamcik all knew each other from school. They were all in the same class, and so they were all, if not friends, acquaintances with each other. In fact, Cassie invited Adamcik and Draper over to the house to watch a movie that night with her and her boyfriend.
But after watching for a while, Adamcik and Draper left, saying they were going to a movie at the local theater.
So Beckham stays with Cassie, and shortly thereafter, the power flicked on and off, and it was a little concerning. Beckham decided to call his mother and ask if he could stay over because Cassie was a little bit uncomfortable with the power going on and off. Matt Beckham's mother, kind of unsurprisingly, did not want her 16-year-old son staying over with his girlfriend in an unsupervised environment, but she actually said that if Cassie Stoddart was uncomfortable, that she could come back and stay at the Beckham's house that night.
But Cassie was being very conscientious. She was house sitting, did not want to leave the pets alone, and so she said she would stay at the house. So when the boyfriend's mother picked up the boyfriend around 10:30 p.m., it left Cassie alone.
It's clear Matt Beckham was not there when Cassie was killed, so police shift their focus to Adamcik and Draper. They bring the teens in for questioning in separate interrogation rooms. Idaho State Police Captain John Gansky and Lieutenant Andy Thomas enter Draper's room first.
Hey, Ryan. Hey. One of the last three people, to see Cassie. And so it's so important and critical that we just answer some questions.
Both of these boys are 16 years old, so they're minors, so their parents have to be included in any interrogation.
If you can just kind of reconfirm the story about how you went out to Whispering Cliffs on Friday night, and if you can kind of start there a little bit.
Me and my friend Tori went to we went to Cassie's house and we talked to her and stuff.
While they were there, Cassie gave them a tour of the house.
Did you go throughout the whole house?
I walked
Check
around.
out the house.
Yeah.
Just kind of showing you everything. So you basically looked at every room in the house, got the
House.
lay of the land. Then what?
And then I saw that he had a big video collection. So we looked at a bunch of movies and stuff.
Okay.
And then I think.
Did you look through those movies?
I did.
Okay. Do you like movies?
Yes.
What kind of movies? What's your favorite kind of movies?
I like horror movies.
During the interrogation, he is talking about the way that he and Adamcik kind of love these horror movies and their fascination with it. He talks about this script that he's writing.
Tell me about the script.
Well, there's a film festival in January. So we wanted to make a movie and then go there and...
What's the movie about?
We were making like a slasher flick.
So they had been watching, I believe, Kill Bill Volume 2 at the house, exceptionally violent in nature, but then the two of them leave.
We watched like maybe half an hour of it.
Okay. About what time is this then?
So we left, I remember we left around 9:30.
The story was that after they'd left the home, they went to a movie at a movie theater in Pocatello.
Naturally, the detectives asked the reasonable question of, what did you see? And they had trouble answering that. So the detective said, well, what was the movie about? And they couldn't answer that either. And that's really when the detectives started to kind of wonder, how could that be? So that really kind of spurs them to dig further into this story. Did they really go to the movies or not?
Detectives locate a classmate who was working at the theater that night, and she says she never saw Adamcik or Draper there. Police pass that information to the boys, who then immediately change their story.
This is the time you need to tell the truth.
Yes, I should have told you about the cars.
So Draper says, okay, well, I didn't really want to admit this, but we were doing this thing that we do where we go to a certain area and we walk down the street and we test out car doors to see if any of them are open so that we can steal stuff.
Is Tori with you the full time that you are checking cars out?
Yeah.
Tori's gonna tell us the same thing when we talk to him.
Yeah.
And with that, detectives switch rooms to speak directly to Tori Adamcik.
We were scoping the neighborhood
Why?
because we were planning to go through cars.
He and Draper have clearly spoken to each other beforehand, because when he's confronted with the fact that the detectives know that he wasn't at the movies, he gives them the same story.
Remember the description of the cars, the color of the cars, what kind of door handles they had on them?
I don't know what kind of cars. I don't usually pay attention to that.
The detectives started probing that story now. Did you get anything? Can you show us something that you got from any of these cars?
Are we going to be able to verify your fingerprints there?
Probably not. I used my sleeve to open it.
His answers are just not believable, not believable, not believable.
Detectives try a different approach.
When you have multiple suspects who you think maybe acted together, it's not uncommon for the police to be interviewing one and saying, you know, you better talk to us now because the other guy's in interrogation room 2, and if he confesses first, he's going to be the one who gets the deal. So if you want to talk to us, now's the time.
We're going to talk to him. You going through cars is a small piece of lint on a gnat's ass compared to somebody getting killed. So we're going to talk.
Okay.
When we return, detectives turn up the heat.
Cassie is dead. She's not supposed to die, but she does. And you know what? I think you see it. I don't know if you freak out and you do it. I don't know if Tori does it, but you know something? You're there. I can see it.
Those rooms are recorded, and the goal is to kind of let people sweat it out, they say. So let them get in their head.
Suspect Brian Draper has been left alone to grapple with his conscience, and he's more than a little anxious by the time detectives return. They begin to bear down on him, convinced he and his friend Tori Adamcik played a part in the brutal stabbing death of their classmate, Cassie Jo Stoddart.
As they push and they lean on the two of them, Brian Draper first, he's clearly nervous.
You doing okay?
I'm my parents.
Well, I mean, you can talk to
We just talked to him.
Tori was a manipulator. I think he was fairly intelligent and cagey. If you compare Brian's interview, I think he felt vulnerable. He had good parents, came from a good, stable household, but he was kind of socially not mature.
You kept saying that I get in trouble too because I was there with him and stuff, and we're going to work it out with you, okay? We're going to do everything we possibly can.
So for Brian, very anxious and nervous about what was happening when under pressure, when having the authority figures, even to the point where he had kind of some childlike qualities to him. The whispering, the asking for the parents. We had these very two different individuals when it came to their interrogation.
Do you know what I'm thinking? And correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Is that somebody has got you mixed into something, regardless of what level you're mixed in, to something that you do not want to be involved in. You don't want to be involved in this. Okay.
This was an example of law enforcement following what they were observing in his demeanor and going along with that to ask those questions about guilt, remorse, and accountability.
We know exactly when Cassie died. Okay? I know exactly when. Okay? She died when you guys left. Right after you guys left and Matt left.
Okay.
Okay? So now you're telling me you just happen to be back in the neighborhood burglarizing cars, but you don't go in and kill Cassie. Mom and Dad's gonna come talk to you. Okay?
Alright. Hey.
So sorry. I want to be a boyfriend. Can't stay like this. I love you again.
So when he is there by himself, you do get the sense that he is kind of replaying in his mind what's happened. Now that he has come down from the high of doing it, you know, he understands the gravity of what he has done, and it appears that he has come to regret it.
Tell me now. You're not going home.
What?
Brian's parents said he needed to do the right thing and come clean. And at that point, Brian was scheduled to take a lie detector test. I think he was a little scared and decided to tell the story.
Your first version was you're going to go to the movie and left. Yes. And then the next version was you're going to go through cars. Yes. Now, this is the third time through the thing. We just want to know, what was the real intent when you left there?
We're supposed to plug in crates.
Was you going to go park down the road and then go back and...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's scary.
You're doing good. What clothing do you have in the car to go do this prank?
The masks that we had.
Okay, what kind of mask?
White and big stuff on them to take them to the studio.
All of that's in the trunk of the car?
Yeah.
So you put all of that on, right?
Yes.
They clearly were reenacting their own fantastic version of a horror movie together.
You had a knife?
I have an answer, yes.
Okay.
The blade, I don't know, was maybe 6 inches, 6, 7 inches.
The masks that they were wearing, the gloves that they were wearing, the clothes that they had, the knives was based on the Ghostface killer in the movie Scream.
Matt was still here, and we turned all the lights off to scare him.
Now, how did you do that?
So we went inside the basement because it was unlocked.
When you were downstairs and checking out the place and everything, you opened that door so you could have a way in.
Yes.
Unbeknownst to Cassie and her boyfriend, Draper and Adamcik unlocked the door of the basement, and they returned to frighten both of them.
We turned all the lights off to scare him.
And then you wait, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we kept, then we turned the power back on, which is probably 10 minutes. We kept flashing the garage light on and off, you know, to get them to get downstairs, but they wouldn't come downstairs.
They were recreating scenes from the movie Scream, where they shut off the power in the house, they made noises from the basement, hoping to lure the two of them down, in their words, to scare them.
It wasn't working.
No.
So the next plan is just to wait until...
Scare Cassie.
Just wait until Matt goes. And so did you just wait until Matt went?
His mom to pull up, and we watched out the window.
Beckham's mother then came and picked him up. He went home, and they sit down in the basement for a while, waiting.
Do you have your mask on?
Yes.
And what happened?
We turned the power off, of course.
So whose idea to cut the lights?
That was my idea.
Okay.
We probably scare Cassie more as she was home alone.
Each of the Scream movies, it opens up with some type of killing of a young woman. So the Scream killer often playing some kind of mind games with her before engaging in a brutal stabbing.
Hello? Hi. Do you like scary movies?
They picked a victim that they knew, a young victim, because the Scream movies happened in high school, college age, so very reminiscent.
So then we went upstairs, and then, I had a smile on my face, Then we opened the door.
These two guys come up the stairs, and if they come in all black, robes with the masks on, holding knives, I mean, probably she was scared to death.
And then we walked over here, and then Tori stepped in front of me, and he walked over here, and then Cassie was saying, who's there and stuff, and I was about to say, hey, and then she started to walk slowly, and after Cassie said, who's that, I believe the words were, I'll kick your ass.
She apparently suspected it was them and got somewhat upset and said she was going to kick their ass for scaring her like that.
He walked up to Tori, and then he stepped 2 more times, and then she went, ah, and then she backed off, and he took a couple more steps. And that's when she let out a scream that I'll never forget.
Okay, you're doing great.
I stood back, and I don't know, maybe started to stab him.
You think the scream was because she got stabbed?
I thought the scream, it sounded so real because
it sounded like different from just a scary scream, right?
Yeah, it sounded like a real
terror, maybe.
Yes.
Was it the pot? I mean, like, he stabbed her.
It was like
not just a couple times.
I don't know. I saw his arm go up maybe 3 times, and then that's when I was like, what's going on, dude? And he's like, and she didn't say a thing. And then she shined a flashlight on her, and she was going like this, and her head was like this, and her eyes were wide open, her chest was moving.
And you still have your mask on?
Hard to point. Yeah. The mask is still on. And he said, we have to kill her. I can't believe I did this. And he said, we have to kill her.
So he finished her off, and he kept going. And did you watch that, or did you turn away?
I watched him do it once, and I'm like, what's going on? This isn't supposed to happen. It's supposed to be a joke.
Brian Draper in his interview does allude to the fact that, I thought we were just gonna play a prank on her. I thought we were just gonna scare her. And then when we got in there, Adamcik, he just went after it. And did it just kind of get out of control?
So was he stabbing it? Was it in the chest?
Yes.
Okay.
It was pitch black, and then he shined his flashlight on Cassie, and I saw her face. I knew she wasn't there anymore. And I just started. We walked back downstairs, we turned the power back on, and we went to his car.
This is very important. Okay. Did you stab her too?
No, I didn't touch Cassie. I
didn't touch her. Okay. And you're telling us the truth on that, because it's very important.
Yes.
Okay.
We're good friends.
So you're saying that Tori stabbed her, all the stab marks, Tori did it?
Yes. He said that he would kill me if he told anybody.
Now we're going to be honest and just see what Tori says. This is going to come down to your word against Tori's.
The law enforcement at that point spoke with Mr. Adamcik. His parents were present. Law enforcement indicated that they had a strong suspicion that he was involved.
Now's the time to really start being honest with some things, okay? We know some things to be true. We know exactly what happened, okay? And I want to give you the first chance and the first opportunity.
He's 16 years old. He's a kid, and he's accused of this really heinous thing. And the detectives, they don't exactly go through the details with kid gloves. They're very matter of fact about what Draper has said and what they know.
We've been doing this for several days. We've talked to a lot of people. We've seen a lot of things. We've put the pieces of the puzzle together. We know how it went down.
Tell us what happened.
With what?
Out of Cassie's place.
We went through cars, me and Brian.
So Adamcik tried to stick to the story that he and Draper had committed to, but he didn't know that Draper had already cracked the code, that he had already given up the truth, at least part of the truth, to law enforcement.
I'm not here to insult you or anything, but we don't believe your story, and we don't believe your story, and I don't think your dad believes your story about going through the cars. It's a tough one, and I don't believe it, especially because I know it's not true. Because we got you going into that house when you parked on the street. We got you going back into Cassie's house.
They told Adamcik, we've already spoken to Brian Draper. He's already confessed. He's told us what happened. We know what happened. We know a lot more than you think we do. Tori Adamcik does what a lot of people do when they're in that situation. You really have two options. You can acknowledge that the detectives have spoken to Brian Draper and they're telling the truth, that he has, in fact, to some degree, confessed about what happened, or you call their bluff. So Adamcik, at first, calls their bluff.
One other thing I want to touch upon that night when you're out messing around, that's why I asked you earlier to take any masks with you. Because we have some indications that you had some Halloween type, scary masks or something. You guys playing around with those at any point in time?
We weren't messing around with them.
Okay, you didn't put them on?
No.
Striking out with Adamcik, detectives return to Brian Draper's interrogation room. They ask him what happened when the boys left Cassie.
We were straight back to his house.
Well, what time do you think that you got home back to Tori's house that night? When did you guys go back?
11:30. Inside his house, we got pumping alcohol. Because it's supposed to be fireable. And then we got the a blue plastic bag.
So you put everything in the bag. Did you go back out?
Yeah, he left. His parents just sleep to go.
And you left again.
He was on his trunk. It's on his trunk when we drove everywhere we did it. We disposed of everything.
Take a break.
The detectives return to Adamcik's room with the new information from Draper.
If somebody were to see you putting a blue bag in the back of your trunk, would you taking some garbage out? Were you putting a garbage sack in there? Did you do anything like that?
No.
I'm just trying to figure out why somebody'd see you with a blue garbage sack, like coming out like you're bringing the garbage out. But it's like,
Was it a sack full of stuff or just?
Yeah, it had.
It was full of stuff?
Well, it had the sack, and then, you know, there were some items that you had, apparently. You know, and it went in the trunk of your car. And all I'm telling is what people are telling us.
I don't know.
I think he was very confident. He had his story down and he was going to stick with it until the goose was cooked, supposedly.
Draper continues to be much more forthcoming.
You leave Tori's house. Where do you drive from Tori's house?
I told him that the other place I knew the guy, he was in the mountains. We lived by my house because I drive there all the time. We parked. We got the plastic bag and put everything inside the plastic bag, and then I poured the whole bottle of it on there, and then got the matches and light it.
Did it burn? Did everything go up?
It was on fire for maybe 5 minutes, and then it was getting ready to go out. We didn't stuff. We wanted to get out as fast as possible, and then we went back to his house.
Then, Draper drops a bombshell.
I know exactly where it is. I'm Black Rock Burning.
Cool.
We'll go there and get it.
Okay. So I'm gonna have them come get you, and they're gonna drive you up there, okay?
Okay.
Up next, Draper leads detectives to a cache of evidence so shocking it will blow this case wide open.
All of the stuff that is found in Black Rock Park is significant, and it really looks like something out of a slasher movie.
Murder is power, murder is freedom.
Hey everybody, we'll get you right back to Prime Crime in just a minute, but I gotta say, whenever I hear stories like the ones that we cover on this show, it always makes me think, how well do we all really know the people in our lives? It's a scary concept to think about, but that is why I want to talk to you about our incredible sponsor, Truthfinder. So Truthfinder is a service that can provide actual safety for you guys. And I say that because Truthfinder is one of the largest public records search services in the United States. Their whole goal is to help people like you learn about the people in their lives. And here's how it works. You go on their website, truthfinder.com, and you type in a name. I make it easy. You type in Jesse Weber. You type in my name, and within minutes and a paid subscription purchase, you can access unlimited reports that could include information like phone numbers, location history, criminal and traffic records, including possible arrests, criminal convictions. I don't have those, but you get the idea. You can use Truthfinder to look up information about all sorts of people, new friends on social media, potential dates, people you buy or sell to online. How about the parents of your child's friend? Look, you can never be too careful. And right now, you can get 50% off of your first month of confidential background reports. Just go to truthfinder.com/LCPrimeCrime. Hope you check it out.
We're sick psychopaths that get pleasure of killing other people.
That sounds good, baby.
We're gonna go down in history. We're gonna be just like Scream, except real life terms. We're gonna be murderers.
Good, baby.
Like, let's see, Ted Bundy, like the Hillside Strangler,
No.
the Zodiac Killer.
Those people are more amateurs compared to what we're gonna be.
16-year-old Brian Draper leads detectives to a remote spot in Black Rock Canyon, Idaho, where he and his friend, Tori Adamcik, also 16, had tried to burn and bury the evidence of their crime, the brutal murder of 16-year-old Cassie Jo Stoddart. But one item stands out from all the rest.
Most importantly was the videotape, because the videotape had several different recordings of the two of them talking to each other, and it included dialogue between them talking about what they were going to do that day.
I think we could maybe 8 kills. I'd like always 20.
They had tried to make their own horror films on some of these recordings, and then they were taking videos of Cassie at school. Cassie waved to the camera innocently and discussed their plot. And then afterwards, they made admissions.
Hello, Cassie. I'm getting you on tape, okay? Say hi, please. Hi. Okay, see ya.
They tried to burn the recording, but law enforcement later on was able to recover it from the beginning to then right before the murder to right after the murder. It was all there in the recordings.
We're supposed to happen tonight, so hopefully nothing will go wrong. Everything will go smoothly, and we can get our first kill done, started, and keep going.
They're in a library, they're supposed to be reading or studying, and what are they doing? They're sitting at a table discussing their kill list and who they want to murder. They don't talk about pranking someone. They don't talk about scaring someone. They don't talk about, oh, we're gonna have a laugh about this later when we're all talking about the time that, you know, we pretended to break in and scare somebody.
I'm sorry, Cassie's family, but she had number one. We have to stick with the plan. She's perfect, so she's gonna die. I've always wanted to make a mark on the world and stuff, and this is a good way to do it.
They are unbelievably callous in these video recordings that they have. They talk about murdering their friend like they talk about what they're gonna have for dinner that night. You know, it's, yeah, I know that they're friends, but, you know, sorry. And they have this kind of said apology to Cassie's family, you know, before they even do it. It's this kind of almost joking apology when they plan to murder their daughter.
I think the perfect ending would be a school shooting. That would be a perfect thing, yes. But that just jack up our so true. Much. It would. I can kill 20 people like that. But you know how it would be bang in person too. Bang. Yeah, just bang like by the time there's no more, they all scattered, so we can't shoot them anymore. Probably be out of ammo, or we will just kill ourselves. Just one bullet, that's all I'm saving. I think we should go like this, you know? Each other's heads and like 1, 2, pull.
It wasn't just Cassie that they wanted to kill. They had a hit list of others who they wanted to kill. They wanted to be serial killers. They idolized the Columbine murders who killed so many.
But Cassie would be first, and they documented the evening of September 22nd, 2006, when they planned to return to the house where Cassie was staying.
We're here in his car. The time is 9:50, September 22nd, 2006. Unfortunately, we have the grueling task of killing our 2 friends, and they are right in a house just down the street.
We just talked to them. We were there for an hour.
These boys were setting out to be almost directors. The tapes were very movie-like.
We're ready.
We're listening to the greatest rock band
We've
ever.
waited for this for a long time.
Pink Floyd. Before we commit the ultimate crime of murder.
We waited for this for a long time.
A long time.
The kids had planned this thing to do a reenactment of the movie Scream.
They had black robes and white masks and combat knives.
When we see the Scream films, there is the kind of classic big knife that they have in the horror movie, being deliberate in the type of knife that you had to have. It wasn't just off the butcher block at the house last minute. This was very, very planned.
And then afterwards, they wanted to tell whoever would eventually be watching this that they had done it.
Just killed Cassie. We just left her house. This is not a joke.
I'm shaking.
I stabbed her in the throat and I saw her lifeless body just disappear. Dude, I just killed Cassie. That felt like it wasn't real. I mean, it went by so fast.
Right after they commit this heinous act, they confess on camera. They do a recording where they are exhilarated by it. They can't believe they just did this. And they said to the effect of, "We just killed Cassie."
Armed with the overwhelming evidence of the videotapes and the other items found at Black Rock Canyon, detectives returned to Tori Adamcik's interrogation room.
We got solved about Black Rock Canyon too. Okay, we got a car matching your description, going up to Black Rock area.
Did you guys dig anything up there?
I don't know. We need to know, and we need to know the truth. Okay. I guess the best way I can explain it is the house of cards is falling. You know, it's kind of, stories are falling apart. If we don't get the truth, we can't come together, we can't work this thing out. We can't do it. You're gonna be left out in the cold.
Can I talk to an attorney?
You can do that.
At that point, when Tori Adamcik is forced to confront the fact that the detectives know this, his response is, you know, I want a lawyer. I want a lawyer. He lawyers up. If you've committed a crime, you should ask for a lawyer.
Can you talk to me?
Probably, yeah.
Can I have a minute with him to see if there's something
You should, absolutely.
I love you, son. You know I love you. Tori, do you know that I love you? Look at me. I do love you.
Mr. Adamcik, Tori's dad, you know, he tells his son he loves him. It's gut-wrenching to watch the dad. He loves his son, but now he's got to come to grips with the fact that the detectives have just told him, you know, that his son is a murderer.
Dad, I think we owe it to you at this point to find out what we know at this point.
Yeah.
And there's just no easy way to tell you this. We do know that Tori and Brian, they murder Cassie, okay? We got the evidence at this point to prove that.
We found the evidence. We've got the knife that you used. We've got the masks that you used. We've got the videotape. We've got it. There's a tape up in there that you buried. Okay? Tried to catch on fire. All that stuff. You know what I'm talking about. I don't need to tell you that.
This is right, Tori? And what they're saying is true?
You know exactly what happened, and you know what you need to do. So, unfortunately, you're not going anywhere tonight. You're going to be placed into custody tonight. Okay? I'm sorry that's the way it goes.
You're going to be charged with first-degree murder.
Adamcik and Draper were charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder.
When we come back, what happens when two teenagers are tried for their heinous and shocking crime?
I see a lot of homicides. When these two kids act out a slasher flick in real life, it's very unique and it's very different than a typical case, which is why, you know, this case got a lot of national attention. It's horrific, it's terrible, but from a criminal defense perspective, it's interesting.
Hey everybody, we're gonna get you right back to Prime Crime in just a minute, but before we do, I wanna thank our incredible sponsor of this episode, Morgan & Morgan. I always love talking about them because the truth is one of the scariest things that can happen to you in life is if you get hurt, you get injured. What do you do next? Where do you turn? What are your legal rights? Well, Morgan & Morgan is a firm that you would want in your corner because they are specialists in this area. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. And for a reason, they win a lot. They have secured multi-million-dollar verdicts and settlements. In fact, they secured a $120 million verdict in one of the first personal injury trials post-pandemic. And by the way, in that case, there was a pretrial offer of just $20,000. Yeah, Morgan & Morgan, they don't settle for lowball offers. They fight for what you deserve in compensation. But one of the best things about Morgan & Morgan is how easy they make this whole process for their clients. From starting your claim to uploading documents to signing contracts, talking to your legal team, it can all be done from your smartphone. That's it. Seeing if you have a case only takes a few minutes. Oh, and by the way, there's no upfront fee. No, you only pay them if you win. So if you're injured, you can easily start your claim at forthepeople.com/primecrime or by dialing #law, that's #529 on your phone.
There should be no law against killing people. I know it's a wrong thing, but hell, you restrict somebody from it, they're gonna want it more.
Spring 2007, Bannock County, Idaho. Months after 16-year-old Cassie Jo Stoddart's brutal murder, the accused killers, her fellow schoolmates Tori Adamcik and Brian Draper, go on trial.
They're both charged with the same charges, murder in the first degree and conspiracy to commit murder.
They're both principals of this. They were both in it together. They both agreed to do it. They both conspired to do it, and they were both going to go down together.
However, they're going to be tried separately.
Normally, in a situation like this, there would be no question the two of them would be tried together as co-defendants because they're essentially being charged with the same crime. The two of them are alleged to have done this together from start to finish, same set of facts, same set of actions for both of them. But that's not what happens here. The cases get severed.
And the teenagers will be tried as adults.
They were both juveniles, so under Idaho law, they had to be waived into adult court because of the nature of the offense.
Brian Draper is tried first, beginning in April 2007.
We weren't trying to argue that Brian was not guilty. Basically, our trial strategy was that Brian cooperated, that he was somewhat manipulated, and we forcefully explained to the jury that but for Brian's cooperation, that crime would never have been solved. And I thought that there was a distinct difference between Tori's involvement, his actions, and Brian's.
After 7 days, Draper's case goes to the jury. They deliberate for about 5 hours and then return with their verdict. Guilty on both counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder.
They were not sympathetic subjects, especially given Cassie's situation. So I think we had that going against us. And then the tapes themselves, we could not counteract those. That was probably the telling factor in the case.
After Draper's conviction, Tori Adamcik's trial begins in May.
Adamcik's lawyers basically threw Brian under the bus. Look, Brian's already admitted this. He's led you to the evidence. Obviously, he's the main culprit, and he's the one that you should be focused on, not on Adamcik.
The defense is, yes, I was there, but the other guy is the one who actually killed Cassie. I'm not the one who actually did the stabbing, so you should have some pity on me.
The trial lasts 17 days and ends with the jury finding Adamcik, like Draper, guilty on both counts.
The evidence in this case was really just staggering. That alone would probably be enough to convict somebody of murder. I don't think that the jury really struggled a lot with coming back with 2 guilty verdicts.
Both sentenced to the maximum, which is life in prison for each of them, plus 30 years for the conspiracy counts. They were not eligible for the death penalty because that is not allowed for juveniles. But when it comes to juveniles, they could still get life in prison, and they did.
I was very disappointed with the verdict on Brian. We had made a strong, we figured, pitch to the judge to distinguish between the two of them. And I was upset that the judge didn't factor that in his sentence. I have regrets on that case, probably more than any murder case I was involved in.
Both of the defendants appealed these decisions. The latest attempt was based on a case before the United States Supreme Court in 2019.
At that time, there was a pending appeal before the United States Supreme Court that giving a juvenile a fixed life sentence was cruel and unusual punishment. Because they were so young, they had an opportunity to rehabilitate themselves. The United States Supreme Court eventually did not buy into the cruel and unusual argument. So that was a closed door.
This is an unusually gruesome and horrific case, and I've seen a lot of terrible cases. But the way they devalued life, someone they knew, a friend of theirs, is really horrific. How they planned this.
They're ready to be spree killers. They think that they're going to go out in this blaze of glory and they're going to be, lionized by the slasher community. when in reality, it just unravels. And, you know, they do become famous, but they don't achieve what they want to.
We're going for a high death count.
We're not going not to get caught, Brian. If we're going for guns, we're just going to end it. We're just going to grab the guns and get out of there, kill everybody and leave.
We're going to make history. We're going to make history. Yep. People will die.
Not only is Cassie a very sweet, genuine, caring, nice 16-year-old kid who's killed by 2 classmates, it's a tragedy for the family. I feel awful for Cassie Jo Stoddart's family. You know, losing a 16-year-old child is horrible. As a parent, I can't imagine how terrible that is.
Almost 2 decades after Tori Adamcik and Brian Draper were convicted, this unique and heinous crime continues to be discussed. But for the families of all 3 teenagers, this just remains a real-life horror movie that never ends. That's all we have for you here on this episode of Prime Crime, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jesse Weber, and as always, stay safe.